So what's the path to getting on track? What do you recommend usually for people?
So
step by step.
We lay out their debt. We figure out what the minimum monthly payments are. We add them up. Then we get what their budget is with their rent. Some of the stuff they can't control because they're already in it. Sure, we can maybe downgrade eventually. But okay, that is what it is. Your debt is this. I put them on a grocery budget that's can be healthily done, but is also limiting. It just essentially involves weekly meal prepping instead of like cooking fresh, pre-prepared meals every day. It's going to be more meal prepping and then warming up. And then basically no fun except for a few unique situations. No paid for fun. Go have fun. Sometimes increasing income by getting a second job. So once we create what a potential income could be plus a potential budget, we then lay out the best way to get out of the debt. Sometimes that's a snowball method by doing the smallest debt to the largest debt. Sometimes it's the avalanche method by having the largest interest rate to the smallest interest rate. It really depends on their situation and their mentality around it. If you can tell they're going to have a hard time making through it, snowball makes sense from the emotional standpoint because they start seeing they're making progress. You pay off that small debt relatively easily, but all of a sudden you have a win. So you start paying off more. Avalanche, I like for people you can tell are a little more fired up, disciplined, because mathematically, avalanche method, you pay less over time. So we figure out the best method to do that. But first, we usually get them to save up a 1 month emergency fund. Whatever their budget was, we get 1 month. Sometimes if they have kids, multiple kids, 2 months, because if anything happens, we've also had people on the show who have followed the babysit. I love Dave Ramsey. We're going to collaborate with them. I've been invited on the show like twice. Yeah. I just travel anxiety. But the $1,000 thing, and I get his logic. He's defended it a lot, especially recently, even though it hasn't been updated, and he's explained why. We've had people on the show, especially earlier in the show, who did the $1,000 to get out of debt. They started making progress on the debt. Then an emergency happened, and there's basically no emergency that's less than $1,000. Then they ended up in a worse situation than they were before they even saved up the $1,000. So I'm like, okay, let's make sure if anything happens, you can survive for a month while you scour for income sources. Or if you have a kid, just to make up for extra risk because you're taking care of little ones, okay, let's have 2 months emergency fund. Then we just beat that debt down. And then from there, it depends on their age. So 50, 30, 20 is a good standard just for people to start a budget on. 50% on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on investing. But if someone's just getting out of debt, getting a fully funded emergency fund, you got to get a fully funded emergency fund, obviously, first. Once you get out of debt, if someone's starting at 50 and they have $0, they basically got to start investing 50% of their income if they're going to try to retire mid-60s, maybe even 70. So it depends on the age. But so whatever their budget allocation is going to be after that point depends where they are in retirement. Because what I really try to stress on the show, I just want people to be able to retire, whether that's they're spending their pile of money to zero by the time they die, or they're leaving something left over for someone else, passing on money. That's up to them and the avenue that they want to save in order to get there, how much they want to save in order to get that pile.
Do you ever have people question whether or not you're qualified to give them advice?
I've had interviews where people ask that or people get upset. But then I'm very clear that we don't talk about different investment vehicles. That's usually what you're licensed to talk about.
Right.
If you need a specific license to say, hey, if you make $100 a month, you shouldn't spend $120 on fast food, honestly, fuck off. That's pretty basic stuff. And I think that's very important for people to hear about. And okay, even if people are upset that, sure, there's no CPA and I'm telling someone they shouldn't spend more money than they make, I don't care that little hate that a couple people might give, because we get thousands and thousands and thousands of people reaching out saying, yo, in the comment section, email, social media, whatever, yo, I paid off my debt because of this channel. Yeah. And that is everything. Dude, I don't even care right now. I know right now I could back out of all my stocks, my personal residence, and get everything into the cash flowing type properties that I have up in Michigan, and I could generate $10,000-ish a month. I could do that and do this show for free, because the biggest reward is the progress that people make. It's so hype. Yeah. It's so hype when people turn their lives around. It's just crazy. It's so exciting.
Why not go for the certified financial advisor license?
At this point, I just don't feel like it's worth my time.
Sure.
Cool. It would be cool to talk people through investing and stuff like that. And I have my own opinions on investing. I do my own investing. Yeah. But I don't feel like it's worth my time. And also, I think where the average American is, it's more beneficial to help the people that are in the dire straits than sit down with someone and be like, okay, sure, you have 43% of your investment portfolio in the S&P 500, but maybe let's do 45% instead or something like that. I think it's going to be more beneficial to help someone learn how to budget and stop fucking around.
I agree. I think that's like the foundation of being good with finances is like budgeting. And what I tell all of my friends that come to me, because they know like I am somewhat in like the YouTube finance industry, or I'm somewhat related. They would say, "Hey, Jack, how do I get good with money? Like, what do you recommend I invest in?" And I always just say like, you just have to be aware, conscious, and intentional of money in general. If you want to learn how to be good with money, you have to just be conscious of money. What is money? What does money do for you? What do you do for money? Where is your money going? Be aware of your relationship with money, and that is like the strongest foundation that you can have to being financially free or secure.
Oh, and by the way, this clip is brought to you by our sponsor, Epidemic Sound.
Click the link down below to get 1 month for free and 2 months half off. We've been using them for years. We use them in the intro to the full podcast. They have a massive library of incredible music and sound effects. Click that link. Thank you so much, Epidemic. And thank you for watching.